Alright, so here I was thinking that these next 2 weeks were going to be all about the big guy Thanos getting this farmer uniform, turning him into one of the best PvE characters in the game, and then after that we're going to transition into sneak peeks for the Guardians of the Galaxy update, and boy, I couldn't have been more wrong. Sneak peek number 5 just dropped, and check this out, ladies and gentlemen. SHARON ROGERS has returned, and she has returned in a big way. So right here over on the forums, CM Fragment says the superhero who battles evil in her quest for peace and justice has returned, the captain of a new generation. And there you have it, ladies and gents. You saw it for yourself. SHARON ROGERS is getting a brand new uniform, and this thing is turning her into a Sailor Moon character. Like, realistically, she looks like Sailor Moon, and I'm here for it. I ain't gonna hold you. I've been waiting for a new uniform for SHARON ROGERS for the past, I would say, 4 or 5 months. Ever since around December, I had a feeling that she was gonna get a uniform because WEBCAMS kept dropping hints over on Twitter. Well, he kept redrawing a bunch of original characters in different looks, so I thought that was hinting at something coming for Luna Snow and SHARON ROGERS at the very least. And here we have it finally. However, this is not one of the looks that I saw on Twitter a couple months ago, and we stopped the video at the right time because, as you can see, in addition to a brand new uniform which some of you guys may or may not like, let me know in the comment section, the girl is getting a tier 4. And if you know anything about SHARON ROGERS' history in this game, every time she gets a uniform, she becomes one of the strongest PvE characters in the game, and I think this time will be no exception. So strap in or strap on, because it's going to be a hell of a ride. Now, personally, I would be lying to you guys if I wasn't a little bit cynical about this, just because of the fact that we just got Thanos, who costs 1.5 times the tier 4 materials, and before that we had Dr. Octavius, a regular tier 4. So SHARON ROGERS getting tier 4 in this update cycle means that we're getting 3 tier 4s in a single update cycle. Now, this update cycle is probably going to be a little bit longer than usual, so that's probably the reason why we're getting SHARON ROGERS now, because I think what they're going to do is use SHARON ROGERS as a filler, even though she's kind of a main character, you know what I'm saying? She's like the main character of Marvel Future Fight. Anyways, the point is, I think what they're trying to do is for the next 2 weeks, use SHARON ROGERS uniform and tier 4 to cover the 2-week period leading up to the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because I'm looking at my calendar right now. As of me making this video, it's the 14th, and the Guardians of the Galaxy movie doesn't drop until the 5th in Canada. It drops on the 4th in the States. So that means we have at least 2 weeks to go. We know 1 week leading up to the update, they start doing sneak peeks. So SHARON ROGERS is supposed to drop on the 18th of April, and she's gonna cover that, basically that 2-week gap what we have right now. Now, if this is something that the devs are gonna do on a regular basis, where they use a tier 4 to fill a gap for a movie update or a big event for the game or whatnot, I'm here for it. But they realistically need to consider in 2023 to increase the ways that we can earn tier 4 materials, because as it stands, it takes over 40 days for a free-to-play player to just farm out enough materials to tier 4 a normal tier 4 character. And even then, that requires a little bit of luck, because the life seed drops are random. Carbonadium is guaranteed, and so is Soul of the Faltine. But when it comes to life seed, you could get really unlucky, and after maybe 2 months of farming, you still not have enough life seed to tier 4 a character. So them dropping 3 in a month says to me that they realistically need to consider adding more ways to earn Carbonadium, Soul of the Faltine, and a life seed. And I'm not talking about adding more to World Boss Legend. I think what we have for World Boss Legend is fine as is. They need to increase the amount of Soul of the Faltines that you can get from Giant Boss Raid, from 150 to 300, or what they need to do, in my personal opinion, is start adding some tier 4 material to this section of the game. Tier 4 materials to Alliance Conquest. I know you guys don't want to hear that, but realistically, people play Conquest, and I think it would be rewarding if they added a chest here and basically made it so that you had a guarantee at the end of the week to get some Soul of the Feltine, some Carbonadium, or some Life Seed. So let's say they're keeping the current formula where it's 3 alliances fighting. Let's say the winning alliance, everybody in that alliance gets a chest. When you open it, you have a 33% chance of getting Soul of the Feltine, Life Seed, or Carbonadium. Let's say they give 200 to the winning alliance, 100 to the second place alliance, and maybe 50 to the third place alliance. Me personally, I would like to see Alliance Conquest change to be just one-on-one instead of 3 alliances fighting, because oftentimes it ends up turning into a 2-on-1 situation and it's just disgusting. Another thing that they can consider doing is adding some here in Timeline Battle. Now, Timeline Battle is where you get your crystals, so there's a lot of value in playing Timeline Battle as is, but they should definitely consider spicing this thing up. For sure, I think Alliance Conquest would be a really good way to get people to build out their roster more, because you already use so much of your roster, and it would in a way benefit them to add more rewards to that game mode, because there's so many characters in here that's really good for Alliance Conquest, but they're not really good for anything else. Like, let's say for example somebody like Blue Marvel. I would never tell you to go buy this uniform for Blue Marvel now, because he's not that great for Timeline Battle and he's not that great for PvE content in general, ABX, ABL, War Boss Legend, Giant Boss Raid, but he's actually really good for Alliance Conquest. Now, if they made it so that the rewards are really good, then maybe a couple people ever so often would decide to invest in characters that are really good for Alliance Conquest in order to help their team, so that they have a chance of getting more tier 4 materials at the end of the week, because realistically there's not enough tier 4 materials to go around as it stands. Now, coming back to SHARON Rogers, I'm glad I didn't completely strip her, but I took away a lot of her Odins. Well, all of her Odins, to be honest. Everything that's empty was at one point that Odin's blessing. I'm happy I kept her mighty energy on her. I hope she remains how she is for the most part right now, where she's easy to use, really tanky, and has high burst damage. However, she is in need of a survivability boost because her heal only offers 10%. They need to bump this up to at least 25-30%. That would be really good. Besides that, she's not really missing much. Maybe they could consider changing her damage accumulation around to a more offensive damage accumulation, but it wouldn't really feel like SHARON Rogers. But a new take on her would be really good. Speaking of new take, I know this is gonna probably piss some of you guys off. I've seen SHARON Rogers own all that is PvE in this game for a very long time, from base form to Starlight to Dark Star to Star Knight to the current light serious armor. I wouldn't mind if they actually made it so that this next iteration of SHARON Rogers is actually a PvP character.
Hey bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
However, it would have to be good enough to compete with the current meta, and that is Jean Grey. Now, I'm not asking for SHARON Rogers to completely replace Jean Grey, because that would be asinine, because it's so expensive to get Jean Grey, but it would be nice to see SHARON Rogers in PvP. But I know a lot of you guys out there, you're stuck in the same cycle of, I want to see more of the same. Unga bunga damage from SHARON Rogers, that's what I want. Me personally, after seeing what they did with Thanos, where they took him from being a PvP character to being an amazing PvE character, I would like to see some other characters reimagined and taken to a different direction.
It ain't happening, honey.
Because realistically, outside of War Boss Legend and Giant Boss Raid, I don't really see where SHARON Rogers is gonna really be needed. Because for ABL and ABX, there's no female Blast Day. But since she has such a big fan base and it's been established from the very beginning that she's a PvE character, I'm sure if they did the exact same thing that they did for Thanos, where they made her an amazing DPS, you guys will be popping out of your chairs, jumping through the screen to go buy her a uniform. But y'all the same ones that are saying we don't need another PvE character. It's crazy. Anyways, man, leave me your thoughts in the comments. How you feeling about SHARON Rogers getting a Sailor Moon uniform? I'm interested to see what they're gonna do this time around, man. Holy, like realistically, look at Sailor Moon and look at SHARON Rogers. You can't tell me whoever designed this uniform isn't a Sailor Moon fan.